should have been able to, they can get fucking EBT cards out pretty damn quick, right? So
You,
you're
you
not.
notice that though, Kevin, though no one has actually taken full responsibility for what occurred. Doesn't
Yeah.
that is that doesn't have that excuse me, doesn't that have you perturbed as much as I do?
Oh, it's
Or as
a
much as me?
it's a
Right.
very, very disturbing aspect of the story. So
Jesus Christ, I know. I'm just
so I'll
I
I'll,
can't even
I'll
talk to you
tell you
right
something,
now.
right?
I'm just confused by I'm just confused by the response. I mean, no one's taking responsibility for anything.
Hmm.
No one ever does. I don't know why. No one can ever just say, "Look, I fucked up. It was my fault." No one ever does that anymore. No one takes responsibility for anything anymore. I don't understand why.
Well, they all want their pensions and their shiny gadgets and their whatever it is that they've that hooks them into that materialistic system and keeps them coming back for more and signing their soul away with the devil. But let me give you an example of how disturbing this is. So the head of EcoHealth at this breakout. So I was talking about the proximal origin SARS-CoV-2. This paper, it's a landmark paper published in Nature Medicine, and basically this paper said that it has to be zoonotic because of the glycoproteins that we will find. It was a hypothesis paper that we will find around the furin cleavage site. Okay, so and they didn't even know that they were there. It was a guess that it would have furin cleavage site, and then they dismiss any idea of it being something even close to a lab leak. Okay, now at the same time, Peter Daszak is going around all the sort of major names and institutes across the world and got them to sign a letter that was published in The Lancet. The Lancet is one of the premier medical journals in the world, and it said that it's a zoonotic spillover event. This happened in March, I think. Maybe the dates are not so critical right now, but they published this open letter and basically saying it has to be a spillover event. Anyone who's talking differently is essentially engaging in conspiracy theory. Okay. And they published that. And then what happened was in November, a group called US Right to Know, they got a freedom of information request and basically got all the emails from the institutes that were involved Peter Daszak, and you can basically see them conspiring to maintain the scientific narrative that it had to come from nature. We can't have the people talking about the possibility of it coming from a lab. And they've set out deliberately to do this. And this just helped confuse the picture even more. When, I say, you've probably got questions and I'm ranting, so.
No, I'm just fascinated by all of this. I just can't believe this is going on. Again,
Mm.
this is like a bad Netflix movie.
Yeah, and it's happening in real time. You've got like a nine slow motion 9/11 every day. Only this time we can watch them hiding evidence in real time. We've caught them going and changing the public databases as they've tried to correct the anomalies in their science. As people who are experts in the field have caught them out. Okay, and like I say, and it's a good thing that um the it's a good thing that we're in a position to be able to do that there's enough dissemination of knowledge within the public domain that we can track what these people are doing, and we knew who was at fault very, very early on. Okay, so we unlike 9/11, we know who to hold responsible.
Right. Lots of similarities between 9/11 and COVID-19. Both times our government knew immediately what would happen, and they sort of just let it happen.
Yes.
Amazing.
Mm, yes.
Just
uh,
like that.
and look, the Trump administration did stop funding to EcoHealth, right? The grants that they have, small grants that were coming from Fauci's department, but the money from Fauci is tiny. Okay, the National Institute of Allergies and Infectious Diseases, the Department of Defense and Health and Human Services have given tens to hundreds of millions of dollars that we know of to this little nonprofit, right? That's going round across all these borders, and wherever EcoHealth seems to go, we get these emergent outbreaks. Nipah virus is another one that they work on. Zika virus. Okay, and all of it's tied in. So at the back of all this, you can find the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. You can find a lot of subversion from the Chinese side. So here's another really toe-curling example of how corrupt everything is. So just prior to the election, the New England Journal of Medicine published an editorial saying you have to vote Trump out of office. It's the ethical thing to do, right? But what do you find? Oh, the Chinese have bought up the publishing house that is the New England Journal of Medicine. And if there was,
it's very suspect there.
It's very suspect. It's very suspect, and every one of our major Nature, Science, New England Journal of Medicine, Lancet have all been corrupted by this one event, and that doesn't say anything about the previous gaming of the system that's gone on. And right now, the public are being corralled in a way that's highly disturbing and is, well, in light of how the election has sort of played out, and how we know that there are these supranational organizations and ideologies. So, like, what do they call it? UN 2021, Agenda 2021, Agenda 2030. These types of.
Yeah, what do you make of that? Yeah.
They all link up. They all link up, and this is, again, it's hugely problematic, because the thing is, there are some scientists like myself that are trying to address the situation, but it's all essentially citizen journalism, and
I see.
And at the same time, we're having to deal with this mass disinformation campaign that's coming from organizations, both domestic and non-domestic, that are geared towards causing. Well, the idea is to cause confusion.
There's lots of shitheads out there, in other words, Kevin.
Yes.
In all fields.
Yes.
And they're paid to do this.
Yeah, very much.
Right.
And I'm not paid to do this. I'm doing it off my own back. This is time that I'm not spending with my kids, and I'm doing this 2 to 3 times a day, 3 to 4 hours probably each stream, just trying to highlight each story and each nefarious actor that sort of comes across my radar, whether it be the World Health Organization, the Chinese CDC, the US CDC, the Department of Defense, the Health and Human Services, the non-governmental, the non-profits like EcoHealth, to idiot cranks like Trump.
I'm your commentator, John Motson.
Yes.
Both players are ready, and the match
And
is
while you're
about to
saying
get
that, you
underway.
were drinking
The ball has
a,
arrived in
water
midfield,
bottle
and the
there.
match has been.
Yeah,
What
it
a
was almost
speedy
like
goal
a-
in the early
Yes,
stages
there
of
you
the
go.
game. He's
Barley
after a goal in the low corner.
Product placing there.
The match is now 2-0.
Yeah, but I don't.
Nice
like,
shot.
my channel's demonetized. I'm look.
He's
The
at the
only
ball.
reason I'm able
What's
to
happening?
do this was
An own
because
goal.
I was.
He cleared the ball
put
with his
into
head.
Essentially, medical
He
retirement.
takes a shot from the
from-
ground. He needs to
enforced
shoot
medical
better if he
retirement.
wants
I don't
a
have
goal.
any pension or anything.
He bounced the ball off his
I'm
own post.
self-supporting, and my wife
He
had to
blocked
go
a
out.
possible
to get-
goal. Now that's what I call a goal.
After drink.
A shot blasted towards
no,
the
it
right
was
corner. He's
crack
trying
to
to
the
mount
head
an
off
offence
scaffolding
by
pole.
juggling the ball.
Oh shit!
They're holding on.
it
Goal!
was,
The goals are raining
the only way
down
I can
like
describe
bullets in
it
a
is like
firefight.
having,
Unlucky,
like
the
taking
post
a
blocked
centre
the goal.
punch
He
to a
tried his luck
window,
with a
like
header.
a windscreen.
Oh
And,
my!
and
He's
you know, you
waiting
can
for his-
crack
a
the corner
perfect
of the
strike.
windscreen, and from
Right where the
certain angles,
goalposts meet.
the windscreen looks
45
all right.
seconds have passed. What an amazing
But then
goal.
you
Right
can
into
look around
the
and-
back of the
and
net.
There's this whole sort of fracturing.
Let's see if we can
that
see
sort
an
of-
astonishing
that sort of
comeback.
happened. And
It
took-
is
taken a long
4-4.
time
Extra
to
time
sort
is
of
used.
get
The
round to
match
sort of
goes on with incredible energy.
functionality and
Awesome
here's
save.
the other thing. I had a run in
trying to make
with
a play by
SARS very
juggling the
early
ball.
on. Okay.
Really?
A
Yeah.
rising shot.
So,
We're entering
one of
the final stretch of the match.
Central components
The
or
goalpost
pillars
saved
of
the
this,
goal.
the pandemic accelerating very, very
Goal!
quickly.
Into the
So I don't know
penalty
if you
area.
remember in the news
He's
that
like a
there
fortress
was,
now. He's
a
deliberately
cult
stalling
in
for
Korea.
time.
Ah,
What a
yes,
terrible
the Christian
effort.
coat.
Yes,
Great
Security
header.
cult.
What a finish.
I
He
love
scored
that.
right in the top corner.
St. John's Church.
He's keeping
Yes.
the ball on the ground
And
to
so
confuse
their
his
base
opponent.
was a city
The most
called
critical
Daegu.
moments of the match
Okay.
have begun.
My
He's
lab
defending
is in a
very
city
well.
called Daegu
The match
at
is
the
almost
Korea
over.
Brain Research Institute.
He lit up the goal with that kick.
Well, 2019,
And the match is over.
November, December.
It was
I
a
go
match with
to,
tons of goals. The fans are leaving the stadium
Snap photos of your
satisfied.
receipts and get organized.
Daegu. I'm staying there a week because I'm helping colleagues with some engineering aspects to science, and I needed the money, so I went. I came
Right.
back, and Jesus Christ, I got ill, seriously ill,
my.
and the thing that got me was the neurological impact it had, and I was like, well, that's not a regular flu. And
You had the brain fog.
more than the brain fog, Greg. You can ask my wife. I was delirious. I didn't know where I was for a week.
Eee.
Right, and and then I had all these long hauler type symptoms that I've sort of had to deal with.
Did you get tested, Kevin?
Well, no one knew anything at the time. I could probably go for an antigen test right now, but I don't. When I'm in Japan, right? I hate going to the doctors anyway, and I didn't go to the doctors when I was violently ill at the time. And I can remember having a sort of moment of clarity, and I have a prescription the length of my arm anyway because of the head injury, and I said to my wife, please get me aspirin or something to just try to control the fever, because the medication I did have wasn't working, and literally getting aspirin saved my life, I think.
Really? That's bizarre.
Mm.
What do you think you contracted, Kevin?
Oh, well, I was SARS-CoV-2, and what we know
of
is
course.
is that by the symptoms I had and the response, etc., for sure it was SARS-CoV-2.
Oh my goodness.
And so I got aspirin, and then I started to recover. So why was aspirin working when sort of like the acetaminophen mix that I have, and so basically for pain control now, they're very strict with opiates, etc., and they treat it almost as a epilepsy. So I have drugs for like epilepsy for pain
Yeah.
control, right? And they're fucking horrible, right? But they were doing very little to help me with.
Those are wild drugs, by the way. The anti-seizure medication.
Mm.
I would know. Not that I had one, but I did sample a few of those pills. That's a long story. But
Oh.
that was a fun experience when I was at a 10,
Mm.
as high as a Georgia pine. Another story, Kevin. I'm sorry.
That's okay, dude.
Another story.
And but anyway, I said to my wife, get aspirin, get me aspirin. And the aspirin basically started to bring things under control. And what we found was, what we know now is that the SARS-CoV-2 has this systemic, what they call coagulopathy. Okay.
Yes.
Which means everything, your blood just starts clotting because you've got this.
The blood clots, right?
Yes. And aspirin is one of the best drugs that you can get for stopping blood clots. Short of sticking an IV in your arm and flushing you through with heparin.
Kevin, you could have died.
Oh, yeah. It was close.
Holy shit.
Very, very close. And but he got through it, you know. And basically I was sort of like a sentinel person that was there, and I knew, and as soon as the information started coming out, because I was sick over the time, and I remember I got over the worst febrile state just before Christmas, and then I was just left with what they call dyspnea, where you're just sort of panting, a bit like a dog. But at the time when I was ill, I didn't feel any respiratory problems per se. It was all, and I'm guessing because I had the head injury, it was manifesting a lot as the neurological component. So I was convulsing, I was hallucinating, etc., etc. And so as I'm recovering, I'm watching this stuff come out of China, and I'm watching the symptoms. I'm like, oh, I recognize that. And
I feel bad. It was like a bad infomercial for you, Kevin. You're like, yeah, I got that.
Right. And so I just started to get onto message boards. It's how we built up the Discord that I had, and the Discord server I have, and the YouTube channel. And basically I sort of came out trying to warn people about the neuronal aspect of it. And I think the neuronal component is a especially a big deal for those that think that they're going to recover or not being affected by it. And
yes. That's just the argument out of ignorance, as you know, Kevin. Lots of these folks, they think they will be bulletproof if, let's say, they had the virus the first time or they got vaccinated. I mean, you're not out of the clear. None of us are, unfortunately, Kevin.
It's true. I'm just looking at the comments. So someone's asking, what do I mean by Sentinel? So a Sentinel system is just an early warning system, right? So I was just an early warning to what was coming out of China. And we know that the Shincheonji cult, based in Daegu, that's where their home church is, were going backwards and forwards to Wuhan, where they had a church, an underground church in Wuhan.
They were responsible for spreading the virus. That's what many people believe. I'm not sure if they had like vials of the virus. I'm not sure. That's kind of going down conspiracy.
So their approach was that all illnesses, you know, we shoulder them together. So if you're ill, they come and, you know, you eat and sit next to everyone, and you share the illness and the burden. And that's just part of their the church, how they did it. And look, the head of that church had to come out on his hands and knees begging for apologies from the Korean people, because it was such a mass super spreader event. Okay. And I'm telling you,
remind you of something.
Does it remind me of something? You'll have to
rally, like a rally, perhaps.
Right.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
And you know, that's what's happened to the United States, is that you've allowed it to become hyper endemic in your population now.
I'm embarrassed, Kevin. I'm really embarrassed for my country. I'll be the first to tell you.
Yeah, look, man, I lived in the United States for a long time. You know, I wish I was there now rather than in Japan. I felt very at home in the US, country very close to my heart.
We need America.
Look, man, if I could afford to live there,
Cash.
I would. I mean, I think my working days are behind me. Even sort of doing like if I do a stream, you can ask my wife. I do a stream and literally I go and I'll
Your
try
wife's
to.
not your wife's not Japanese, right?
She is, yeah.
Okay, she is. So, in other words, Kevin, you plan on dying there.
Yeah, it's come close a few times already.
Yeah, right.
And
You're like
you know,
a cat, Kevin.
a cat.
You're like a cat. You have 9 lives.
I don't know if I have that many, but yeah, I've definitely come close to.
Interesting. And by the way, Kevin, now that we are on this subject here, we have you a little loosened up here now, Kevin. I'm glad you are loosened up here. I'm joking around, but there is a video here, a clip from OAN and this news reporter. I think her name is like Jen Pellegrino. I think that's her name. I'm not quite sure, but either that's her name or she's talking to another woman by the name of Jen Pellegrino. But this is an interesting clip. I want you to tell me your first initial reactions are to this video.
Mhm.
You're not going to be able to see it. No one is, but you'll be able to hear the audio. Here we go.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. I have it muted here. Maybe if I hit unmute, you could hear it, Kevin.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, the Lord has won, and Biden will never be president of the United States. We have been called here by warriors from the God Most High, and we, just like the ancient Israelites, were here yesterday with the hashtag Jericho March to pray and bring down the power of heaven, because it is our praise and our prayer to God that releases his power that will break every stronghold, every demonic power that has taken over our country and especially DC. And the power was palpable yesterday. We felt those strongholds broken, torn down, destroyed, and the change is happening right now. And I was able to experience it, and the worship of so many people, so many I guess famous, prophets and speakers and conservatives were here yesterday, and we all came together as one because we are America, and we came here to bring about in reality what has already taken place in the heavenlies. And so Jesus has won, he is king, and Trump will get 4 more years.
My goodness, what do you make of these religious folks out there that have sort of submerged themselves into politics?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that it was render unto Caesar's what Caesar's and render unto God what's God's. And I would be very, very wary of trying to force the hand of God in this particular. I go on about this a lot, and it's a very, very the metaphysical is an easy territory to get lost, and the Q-tards and the people that stormed the Capitol, etc. If you were bitching about Black Lives Matter taking over and being able to do what they were doing in the United States, you've got
This most
a very
anticipated
hard
match
job
is
in my
almost
mind to
underway.
justify what happened in the Capitol this week. Okay, and I think people have been wound up by years of psyops being pulled against them, like Q, like even things like Epstein, that type, these types of events that have been happening. And you know what? Here's just a little caveat for you, right? You don't hear much about Epstein now, but now we're dealing with a biological agent, and
Right.
we know that Epstein was, excuse the parlance, but balls deep into trying to buy, eugenics, trying to buy up scientists, etc. He's standing there with Bill Gates. Bill Gates is writing the Lolita Express, etc. etc., etc. You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to start saying, "Oh, hang on a minute," there's a lot of associations here that, in the current context looks suspicious. And the problem is that these people are essentially an untouchable class, and it's us goyim cattle, kafir at the bottom, that have to just adjust to what it is that they're doing. Okay, and the problem is that the battlefield on which this is taking place is primarily the psyche of the United States and the West, and it's a very disturbing set of circumstances as you understand how the world is being restructured for this fourth industrial revolution. Okay, and
to say the very least.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly. And I don't know how much you want to speak a little bit about the JQ issue, but the people who are unaware need to understand the primacy of the Belt and Road Initiative with China and the Pan-Eurasian superstate. If you're unfamiliar with Brendan O'Connell, please go and find his channel, understand how there's a mass tech transfer being instigated against the United States. The idea is to break the back of the United States culturally through what are very specific pressure points. So the idea of sovereignty over your body. This is why the response of the United States looks so chaotic. Right, it's as the contradictions of the Soviet system caused it to implode in the 90s. You're watching the same thing unfurl with the West right now, and this idea of the sovereign citizen, meaning the individual, and their sovereign, and literally that's where we've understood the system has to, or the laws and ethical and moral frameworks we use has to be about the individual. But what's happened with that is we've inflated, and we've got these super egos that are sort of brushing up against reality now, that are engaged in what I call fictive realities. And they're pushing ideas like viruses don't exist. They're looking at things like Agenda 21, and then start tilting at windmills, saying, "Oh, look at you can see these people. It's not information that's hard to find, but because they're aiming, that their gun sight is aimed too high, they're unable to sort of make the argument with respect to how we get to people like the super governmental institutions like the Klaus Schwab. And Klaus Schwab is just a puppet, right? Even when he's standing there in his stupid Star Wars robes, talking to whoever, there's people behind him that have been thinking about this on a multi-generational scale. Okay, and that right now we have one specific avenue that we can take, which ties this very phenomenon that we're dealing with to these super organizations that are trying to push through this Great Reset. Okay, now look, there's pictures of Trump cavorting with Epstein. Okay.
Wow.
None of these people are pure pure breeds, if for want of a better vernacular. Okay, they're all tainted at that level, and in this case, the idea that, like I say, is to break the United States. So you get people. I don't know who that woman was that you were playing, but that's what I would call a severe case of ideological possession. She's not thinking correctly.
Well, there's a little clip there for you. Back in 1992, Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump, and Ghislaine Maxwell back in the background there.
Yeah. Yeah.
How lovely.
Yep. All kicking about, all having fun. You know, who knows what type of deviancy they're getting up to in the background. We know it's tied into the royals of the UK as well, and it might just be that they're going for it, right? They know that there's too many people that know that the system is broken. We know that the money system is broken. Everything, the illusion which was holding it up has all been pierced right now. And look how old that video is, 1992. 1992. And the thing is, yeah, and it goes back much, much further. And so here's another thing that people need to understand. When Trump came into office and he did the Make Israel Great Again instead of Make America Great Again, by moving and recognizing the capital of Israel as Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, that just kicked it into the brain of people like that Cutard woman that was on a whole bunch of self-fulfilling prophecies. Okay.
Oy vey.
Oy vey, gewalt, indeed. And the you can't underestimate the eschatological drive of these people, and the like all these secret groups. They're all, oh god.
Yes, there you go. He's having a great time. Look at that.
Yeah.
Biting his lip there. Do you think he was coked up a little bit there?
Oh yeah, probably.
I would have been very coked up if I was there.
Yeah, a few ecstasy pills and off they go, right? So
good times.
Times
by the way,
indeed.
before I throw you off completely here, I apologize. There was a video from a comedian, Michael Rappaport, who was very angry about what he saw, and he took to Twitter, and this is what he had to say.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Once again, let me unmute it.
Yo, let me tell you something. Rodney King, George Floyd, all the other people who have been abused, killed, harassed by the cops, black people, for nothing, for jack shit. These motherfuckers are, look at this shit. If this was black people, these would be dead bodies. This is a fucking a shame, a shanda. Okay? That's Hebrew, that's Yiddish. This is a fucking shame.
Oy vey.
If this was black people fucking arrested, harassed, and I don't like to throw around the race shit. Look at this shit. This isn't a Denny's. This isn't a Burger King. This is the fucking Capitol. The Capitol building of the United States. Nobody has a knee on their neck. Nobody's getting batoned. Nobody's in the back of a fucking police car with no water. The fuck is going on here?
And there he goes, Michael Rappaport. Yes.
Well, women got shot in the face by a black dude. Okay, it was a black security officer that shot the woman. But this is the meta narrative that you have to understand.
She did get a warning, though. They all got a warning telling them to back away from the window. And that officer, he feared for his life, and he had no choice but to fire that gun, Kevin.
I don't know. He could have popped one in the ceiling first.
I would have shot her too. I'm not going to lie.
Really?
Most likely, if you're going to enter my building and my property, I'm going to shoot you in the face. No doubt.
Yeah, it's again, it's heat of the moment, and
I mean, I'm being facetious. Obviously, I probably would not have done that, but
okay, because like I say, if it'd been me, I would have probably stuck one above her head first and
take a warning shot. Definitely not aim to actually shoot anybody, but I think some of these individuals will be let go from their jobs, no doubt.
And so that Rappaport, who's trying to make up and talk about double standards, etc. There's a well, you have to zoom out a little bit, and you have to understand that when you understand the meta narrative about Great Reset, etc., and the way that they have to break the United States, right? And they have to break the individualism of the United States. right? And so how do they do that? Well, they're engaging, it's warfare against you, but it's silent warfare. And what they do is, the idea is just to keep everyone confused. This is being driven by AI, and there are groups that they're monitoring. And like I say, I did a great New Year stream with Kev Baker. I don't know if you know the Kev Baker show. And he
I don't listen to any podcast. I'm too good for any of that shit.
Okay.
I'm joking, by the way, Kevin.
All right.
And I do like his show. It's a good show.
Yeah, Kev's a real gem. And but he was talking. So he had an interview, and I'm trying to find time to speak with Neil Saunders, who's an.
I know Neil. He's a good guy.
Oh, okay. And Neil is doing the legwork and showing that the information that's being collected and weaponized by these Cambridge Analytica, Dynacore, who are all owned by sort of ex-military, and again they're these quasi-governmental institutions, and they have about 5,000 points of data for each individual person in the United States, right? And probably further as well, depending on where you want to plot on their radar. But the fact that they're going into the Capitol the way that they did,
that's pretty nuts, man. I couldn't believe it.
Well, look, man, you've got the right to peaceably protest, okay? But
Sure.
if you're starting to break into shit and burn shit, then you're no better than the animals that have been setting fire to the United States over the death of
Absolutely.
George Floyd. Okay,
Exactly.
and people may not like what I have to say, but sorry, George Floyd died from eating his own fentanyl. You can see it on camera, and he was struggling like a trussed-up pig, right? That you've caught in the forest, and yes, it's a shame. It's a shame that he's died. But was it facilitated by organizations to try to cause maximum chaos and maximum gain for themselves? You can absolutely bet your last dollar on that
Yeah.
much, right?
Oh, yes.
And the issue right now is like, how do they complete the tech transfer that they need in not just tech transfer, but social engineering, such that they re-engineer the world. And let's be a little conspiratorial. Okay, so the eschatology around the Abrahamic faiths, they all have one thing in common, which is the coming of their Messiah, and the pulling of Jerusalem to being the capital of Israel, etc. Now we're going for this. This is this trope that exists of this one world government, etc., etc., and the and there are there are groups that we can see and understand, and they don't mind showing who they are now. Okay, so if you want to point the finger at Habavad Lubavitch, you can, right? They're doing this stuff out in the open, and these people are being openly aided by the Zionist Christians in the United States. And look, man, I lived in Israel, and I'm telling you, that place is fucking bonkers.
Who do you work for, Kevin? Mossad, or you Mossad, Kevin?
I wish, man. I
Be
wish.
honest. Tell me the truth.
No one. But the thing is,
I'm just
I've
asking.
worked with people, and this is the thing you have to understand in Israel. Israel is a highly fractured country, okay, and they're arguing left and right all the time. Okay, the parliament or their government is essentially moribund because it's going backwards and forwards all the time. And
Are you telling me, Kevin, that Benjamin Netanyahu is corrupt?
they all are, but it wouldn't surprise me that you're probably gonna see something like the same thing established in the US as what they're doing in Israel, where the levers of government just don't work anymore. And this is why they want to induce this sort of chaos on the ground, particularly in the US, because what that does is that allows the those with these eschatological drives, these prophetic drives, to try to instantiate their prophecies, right? So and it becomes their self-fulfilling prophecies.
That's right.
And how much of this is foreshadowed by, you get into whole, deep conversations about consciousness and metaphysics, etc. And the where are we along that sort of timeline? Well, suddenly they can shut you down. They can shut the president of the United States down. I get banned constantly for the things that I say, and I'm trying to speak at it most of the time when I don't get into this component of what's going on. But I think if you want a big picture of actually what's going on, you have to understand the role of prophecy, the metaphysics around the Abrahamic religions, the geopolitics of the Belt and Road initiative, the banking families, etc., etc. It covers literally, deep as it goes into essentially the depths of time to the heights of the mathematical constructs that we can kind of think of with our puny brains of what reality actually is. And it looks like they're trying it. If it's not the event that they're going for, this is a damn good practice run, okay? And they're getting a lot of data right now in how people are going to respond.
And with that said, here is another clip for you. And this time, they are IDing everybody, by the way, Kevin. And yes.
I regret that. That's all I'm comfortable saying. Were you inside the Capitol? I was. Yeah, and that's all I'm saying. Why did you go inside?
That's a news reporter, by the way.
Damn right. Damn right.
Yee.
Now only if they could find Biden and shoot him between the eyes. That'd be great.
Vandalize anything.
Only if they can find Biden and shoot him between the eyes.
Hang Pence. Hang Pence was another one they were shouting.
But we did. We did, as I say that. We did break down the Nancy Pelosi's office door.
But I thought it was Antifa, Kevin. I thought it was Antifa who broke in there. What the fuck is this?
Well, these are the ideologically possessed, right? And this is where, you get a breakdown in rational thinking. And this has been my advice from the beginning. Okay. Right now, your job is to protect yourself and your family while these big moves are being made. There's nothing you can do right now. And if you go to these demonstrations, etc., what happens is you become the currency that these systems want, which is data. They want your data. And it doesn't matter how they get it, whether you get taken out and put into a hospital and they get your data that way, get arrested on a march, it doesn't matter. That's all they're interested in, because it builds their picture for them. And every little drop or every soul counts this particular instance. And
my goodness. And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Kevin, we are joined by a caller here. I have no idea who this might be, but anytime someone calls in, I always fear for the worst. So here we go. You are live on the air. How are you, sir?
Oh, hello. Can you hear me, Michael?
We hear you loud and clear. How's it going?
Hi, Brian. How are you?
Did you say Brian?
Brian, you guessed.
Kevin.
Kevin, you mean?
Kevin. Hey, Kevin, how are you?
How are you?
I'm great. Here's a little question for Kevin.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is regarding the lockdowns. If you think that over here in Ireland, it's a bit, it's a very heavy lockdown, but people are getting paid a lot more just to sit inside than to leave, you know. So I was wondering if you had anything to say on that matter.
On the extent of the lockdown, you mean?
Yes. Yeah, well, the extent of it, specifically in Northern Ireland.
So, Northern Ireland right now has the ignominy of being one of the worst hotspots in the whole of Europe right now. 1,200 cases per million of the population. And with respect to lockdowns, I'm like this. There's no way you should lock down your economy once we understood the initial details or the properties of SARS-CoV-2. Okay, but what should have happened is a shift to what I call the wartime economy, where people were protected, and so they're not going to lose their minds. So they're not at the. So you have to understand in terms of neuroscience and the brain and psychology, right? You have essentially a buffer of how much stress that you can take, and you could get infected with SARS-CoV-2, and under normal circumstances, it would sort of nudge you very, very close to the edge where reality starts getting a little bit slippery, okay? And you might not feel that you're symptomatic, but it's in there, driving away in your brain. You might feel touchy, anxious, angry, etc. And that's one of the things that I noticed in the lead up. I can remember myself snapping very angrily at small things that I wouldn't normally do, and I'd be like, "Whoa, where did that come from?" Right? In this wartime economy, we have to say to people who are under stress, where they probably, a good proportion might be carrying the brain invading aspect of it, and saying to these people, it's all right, we got this, okay? And if we're rationing, etc., everyone's in the same boat, and no one's getting evicted, the landlords are getting paid, etc., etc., etc. Okay, because we're not spending it on bombs and bullets right now. It's about getting every soul that we can through these initial phases. Okay, and sorry.
Well said. Yeah.
So I'm of the opinion that restaurants are a bad idea to keep open. Hospitals need to be opened. At schools, I'm circumspect about, because I still want to know more about the properties of the agent and how it's going to affect children. And if the South African strain is anything to go by, the virus is going to look for new niches that it can exploit. And one of those is children right now. Okay, so we don't know how that's going to sort of play out. So even the schools, I would be circumspect. So split the classes in half, right? Have some school, and then half the school goes in the morning, half the school goes in the afternoon, and you make the classes exponential, or half the class size again, just to keep things somewhat normal. And so but look, man. It wasn't that long ago that kids were going to school in the Blitz, right? And they had to carry around gas masks, etc. And there would be moments of terror. Okay, the primary goal here is to get people through. And the problem in Ireland is that you've got a couple of loudmouth crackpots in Doris Cahill and Ivor Cummings, okay, that have been essentially pushing the Great Barrington type response to what is essentially, we can call it a bioweapon, if you like, at this stage.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say it is a bioweapon. Whether or not that was its main intentions, that's what it turned out to be.
Yes, and that's what I keep trying to tell people is I've lost my web page with you on it, so
You broke it.
I can hear you. So that's did I?
Thank you
Oh,
very much.
here it is. Here it is. So I'm just trying to make sure I get all the comments. That's all.
Don't hang up yet. Don't hang up. Go ahead, Kevin.
So I don't want to see people's livelihoods ruined for what is I don't buy that it's just a flu, and the
It's just bro, don't worry. It's okay.
right. And
Good God.
Even the issue with vaccines, right? If your frontline worker in the US has lost 3,000 nurses and doctors this last year, okay, and those people should have an option, right? And a lot of them don't want to take it, okay. And the way that they've designed the vaccine, I would say don't take it, because we know that this sequence that they're encoding, it goes straight to the brain. Right? It goes straight to the brain. Plus, it encodes the vaccine encodes the spike protein, the whole of it, and that spike protein has this sequence in it that's synonymous with rabies neurotoxin, and it targets the autonomic system through cholinergic receptors, and it's probably what's causing so many of what they're calling allergic reactions. It's having a major impact on the autonomic nervous system. That's linked to obviously your immune system and inflammatory responses, plus the chemical sensitivity as well. So it's sort of like a two-pronged attack with the vaccine.
By the way, caller, where exactly are you? If you don't mind me asking.
I'm in Florida.
You're in Florida.
Yep.
Florida man.
Florida man.
Florida man, baby. Love that. Yes, and what exactly is your stance on COVID-19, by the way? Florida man, go ahead.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm just wondering what your thoughts and opinions are living out there. Are you influenced by those around you? Do you think all of this is bullshit? Do you think the Earth is flat? What's going on?
No, I don't think the Earth is flat.
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God.
Thank God we're not talking to an idiot here.
No, I haven't gone full Florida.
You haven't gone full Florida? Okay.
Not yet. But, my sister looks better each day. What do I think about COVID? I think a lot of it's nonsense. I think a lot of it is being used by control freaks, used as an excuse by control freaks to put you in control. Another part of it is the psyop aspect. And number three, I think a lot of it's real, and people really are dying.
You kind of went almost full Florida man on us there.
Yeah.
But you reeled it back. I appreciate that.
The other thing is the mess, which is great. And I don't know if that had anything to do with the question, but anyway.
Love that. Well, once again, I do want to thank you for calling in. Please do so again in the near future.
Thanks, man.
You got it, brother. Take care. Yes. Love that. Love our friends in the 305 Florida. We love it out there. Lots of crazy people out there in Florida. They keep this show going. I'm going to do a whole show on Florida. It comes out from there.
Florida is great, and like I say, man, I'm a big fan of the US. I very much enjoyed my stint there, and I don't want to see the US broken right now by ideologues, whether it's anti-vaxxers, flat earthers, people who are convinced that COVID is not real, people who think that COVID is the devil's semen come to, the pestilence from Armageddon. There's a proper way to navigate through what's going on. That's to be using the scientific method, to be open to, data points that you probably wouldn't normally consider. So, like I say, take into account the metaphysical, and that many people are buying in to this end times type narrative, if you like.
That's true.
Yes.
Lots of them love that. I'm just a gaijin, as they say. And here we go again, another phone call.
Yeah.
Hi, hey.
Let's take this phone call, and
Finally,
hopefully they aren't too angry. Caller, you are live on the air. How's it going? Please turn down the stream if you have it on. Would appreciate it greatly there. Caller, go ahead.
That's true.
Yeah.
Lots of them love.
And he's still listening to the show, so
Sorry,
we will
I
have to
cannot
drop
play
him.
now.
If you call
going
in,
to clear
please
room
make sure to
still.
turn off your
can
stream in the
please.
background, or else there will be a phenomenon also known as echo.
I can't play FPP.
Well, there's a lag, right, with the
Find
people
it safe.
listening.
PPP's
Yeah,
fine.
so he's not getting the message to turn off the stream for a little while. So
he should know better, though.
Right.
You never call
Let's
into
go.
a show and listen to the stream. Goes back to the old days. You know that, Kevin.
Yep.
You know how it goes. So, Kevin, we are kind of almost to a close here, and I think it's time to talk about Paul Cottrell here. It seems
Welcome to PUBG Mobile.
Yeah, I learned a few words actually listening to the show you did in regard. Well, you were listening to my show, and you were adding commentary of your own, which was very hysterical. I thought it was brilliant. Paul might not feel that way, but I don't think he has much of a sense of humor. That's okay. We do love Paul very much. I know he sort of has gone down a strange rabbit hole, but that's okay. We still love him, and we still respect him here on the program. You know how it goes.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, still a human being.
Piccolino?
Piccolino one, but
That's the word I learned from you, by the way. Piccolino.
And the look, Paul.
We will be taking off soon. Be prepared.
Let's go.
Hello.